Story 1. AITA for picking a restaurant my step-siblings couldn't eat at? My uncle brought me out to eat on Saturday because he wasn't here for my 16th birthday 3 weeks ago. He had to take my step-siblings, 13F, 11M, with us. He's not their step-uncle BTW, he's my mom's brother. Step-siblings are my dad's step-kids. But my uncle and dad used to be best friends, but their friendship ended when my mom died 7 years ago. Things are messy because my uncle still wants to see me, and I want to see him, but Dad doesn't want my step-siblings left out, so they get dragged around sometimes. Something kind of relevant is that my step-siblings have, not anaphylactic kind, food allergies. Their allergies are different from each other, and they get rashes and puking and stuff from eating foods they're allergic to. This has become such a focus for my dad and their mom that I don't get to eat at places I like, even when my step-siblings aren't there, because it's not fair. I'm also the only person in the family, I think it's more a burden than a family, who never gets to have my favorite restaurant on rotation for eating out. My dad, his wife, and both my step-siblings get their one choice, but because mine doesn't easily accommodate my step-siblings, I can't have it. All of my top 5 are out, even for stuff like my birthday. I hate it. I resent it. I don't have the family affection or mushiness for them to make it easier. I just basically suck it up. But when my uncle was taking me, I chose my top choice. And he took us. My step-siblings didn't eat. I didn't even feel bad because their needs are always put first and they shouldn't have been tagging along anyway. Their mom was so mad when my uncle dropped me off and Dad was disappointed in me. He asked me why I chose it and I told him it's my favorite restaurant and it's been almost 6 years since I got to eat there because they decided I can never have it while I live with them. I told him it was meant to be celebrating my birthday, and since I get fucked over when they celebrate me because of my step-siblings, I didn't see why I had to do it when my uncle was taking me. I told him they shouldn't have been there in the first place. I didn't want them there. He was just fucking with my uncle. His wife heard me say her kids shouldn't have been there and she asked where my compassion is and where my sibling bond went, and I told her I never had one. My step-siblings were really upset they'd been forced to watch 2 of us eat, and that made their mom more angry at me and Dad more upset with me, especially because I didn't feel bad about it. AITA?
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 2. AITA, if I tell my fiancé I don't want to continue to live and pay the mortgage of a house they bought, bear with me, this is a lot. I, 42F, moved in with my fiancé, 46M, into a home him and his ex bought together. I have always told him that this is temporary for us because I want us to buy a home together. The house is only in her name, but we pay the mortgage payments. He made a written agreement with her that he will get the house after it's paid for. This came up because he was giving her the money to pay the mortgage, and one day we were served with pre-foreclosure notice. In essence, she wasn't paying. So the house had to be refinanced, which extended the mortgage by years and also raised the mortgage $400. I was pissed. He decided we should take on the extra $400. Now we are paying the $2,200 mortgage, and she is reaping the benefits of her credit being brought back up. I have no ties to it and won't get anything out of it because they have control. So AITA for stating I'm going to move forward with buying my own house and he can deal with that? Edit. They both own the house in the divorce. He said she could have it. She couldn't handle it, so he just took over and moved in. They didn't change any paperwork, so the mortgage and deed is in her name. They have a written notarized agreement that he will pay and has all rights and responsibilities to said home. Also, in the event it is sold, he gets all monies update. She stated we'll sell the house and give him the money from selling per the written agreement. Update. I have moved out. I'm staying in a shelter until I get back on my feet. This all happened in the midst of me getting hurt at work and then being fired for it. Thank you for all your advice. I really appreciate it.
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 3. AITA for refusing to give my coworker my only early shift day. For context, I work 4 closing shifts and 1 early day, while my coworker works 4 early days and 1 late shift. She has tried to change my early days for a while, and I have tried to accommodate her schedule multiple times, as she has to rush home to care for her daughter while her husband works night shifts and they have no family help for childcare. I told her already that I wasn't going to change my days anymore, as I have things to do as well and have a toddler myself. Recently, she came to me and said she needed my early day. I thought she wanted to change my early day to a different one so she could get home on time, but she told me she wanted to work only early shifts, meaning she wanted my early day and for me to have closing shifts Monday through Friday. I told her no, but then she explained that her husband's job asked him to work an extra day, and if he didn't, he was going to get fired. Essentially, if I don't change my days, her husband will end up without a job, and she might have to rent her house to afford living if that happens. I have a kid myself and no family to help, so I had to resort to daycare. Am I in the wrong for saying no to accommodate her needs?
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 4. AITA, I told my daughter not to bother applying for college. I am F35 and have a 16-year-old daughter. My daughter has a late birthday, early, mid-December, so she is going into her senior year of high school. She is a very smart girl, and I'm proud of what she's accomplished. But she's also young and naive in a lot of ways. She's easily manipulated. She doesn't pay much attention to her surroundings. She can't stand up for herself. She constantly still calls or texts myself and her father for help with things. More recently, I've also been concerned about her doing dangerous things or submitting to peer pressure from her friends. I've met them, and they are not good kids. I've told her to stop talking to them, but she refuses and tries to go behind my back. For these reasons, among others, her father and I have decided that we are not going to let her go off to college as long as she's a minor under our care. This means that she won't be going in fall 2025-2024 because she doesn't turn 18 until that December. I am not trying to stifle her, but I do want her to be safe. She was recently talking about starting to fill out college applications, and I told her not to bother. I explained that we weren't letting her go until she's old enough to make that decision for herself. She started crying and yelling at me, but I refused to budge. I don't think I'm being unreasonable, and honestly, her reaction is more evidence of immaturity. But apparently she texted her aunt, who has been calling me an asshole. Am I the asshole? Edit. People seem to think that I will not allow her to go to college at all. I am absolutely willing to let her go to college once she's 18 and we will pay for it. Wherever she wants to go, we have the means.
In my opinion, she is an asshole. What do you think? Comment below.
Story 5. AITA for telling my mill she won't be seeing my baby after throwing a baby shower for herself. My husband and I are expecting our first child. We moved to be closer to his family. I'm no contact with mine. My mother-in-law has been referring to the baby as her baby this entire time. She will say things like, "I can't wait for my baby to be born." My baby is going to be so loved. This rubs me the wrong way for reasons I cannot explain, but my husband tells me to ignore her. My Emil wanted to throw me a baby shower and invite her friends. She said they made an agreement a long time ago that they would celebrate each other's kids' weddings and births. My husband and I eloped and declined a reception for her friends since we don't know them. My Emil told me that I owed it to her to let her throw the baby shower since I hurt her friends' feelings by not having wedding reception. I asked if I could invite my friends, and she said no, that this was for her friends, and that if my friends wanted to throw me a shower, they could. I reluctantly agreed. My husband and I spent hours on our registry, and my Emil asked for it so she could share with her friends. She said she forwarded the registry on. She asked me what design I wanted on my cake and cookies. I told her flowers because I am decorating the nursery in a garden theme. At the shower, they provided me with a mother-to-be sash and my Emil a granny-to-be sash to wear. I noticed that the theme of the shower was circus animals. The cake had an elephant and balloons on it, and the cookies were animals. At first, I thought that maybe the floral theme was just too difficult, so I rolled with it until it was time to open presents. Every present was some sort of circus animal. Onesies, blankets, toys, nothing on my registry. I was a little confused and even went so far to check my registry to make sure I hadn't goofed up and changed everything. I thanked everyone for their gifts and tried to sound as gracious as possible, but I was so confused. My husband, who is a little less tactful than I am, showed up at the end of the shower and noticed the theme right away. He goes, "What's up with all the circus animals?" He looks at the presents and says, "This isn't what we asked for." Then he looked at his mom and goes, "Mom, what did you do?" She smiled and said, "I didn't like the theme you chose for my baby. I'm going to decorate my baby's nursery at my house with circus animals, so I created a registry for myself." My husband said, "You did what?" She says, "My baby is going to need a room at my house, so I threw a shower for myself." I lost my composure and told her that she would not see my baby and to stop calling the baby hers, and my husband told his mom that she's delusional if she thinks we're going to allow this. She started crying and said we are just withholding her baby from her. We've been getting texts from his family since the shower, calling us selfish and ungrateful and saying we ruined her joy of being a grandma. Are we the AH?
In my opinion, she is not an asshole. What do you think? Comment below. Subscribe for more interesting stories.